Did you know that humans are getting shorter? What does bacon and eggs have to do with the CIA successfully overthrowing the government of Guatemala? Which country has a life expectancy of only 14 years old? Learn the stories behind these and so much more in my new book, Facts That Aren't True. Link in the description.
And how those things contradict each other. So
What
why do you
what
think
contradicts what?
why you can't have religion and science?
Oh, I never said that.
Well, you say that creationism is dumb and
Mm-hmm.
because of science.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of says that you can't really have this and still have religion. You know what I mean? So why do you think that uh, Christianity is dumb?
Uh, well, because I don't believe in magic, but I want to. I'll let you control the narrative here after this, but I want to try to make a point. Do you think that Islam is true?
No.
Okay, but Islam is a religion. So, and
Mhm.
you're a member of a religion. So, if I said, according to religion, religion is false, that doesn't really work. So, I think that that's silly, and it's not really an honest take on what's going on here. So if I say creationism is stupid, that's not the same thing as me saying therefore Christianity is false. That claim is for it according to the best way we can possibly know about how to figure out facts about the world we live in. The idea that the universe is 6,000 years old is too stupid to believe in. But that's not me saying that according to science, religion is false or that they can't coexist in any kind of way, right? So, anyways, um, you were kind of asking me about creationism. So, yes, I think creationism is as stupid as thinking the earth is flat. Young earth creationism.
But isn't that the entire gist of religion, though? That we
No.
have a creator.
Right. Young earth creationism is as stupid as thinking the earth is flat.
Young Earth creationism. Can you give me a definition? Like, what does that mean?
It means like if you add up the genealogies in the Bible all the way up to Adam's creation, which happens on only the fifth, sixth day, whatever, then the entire universe is 6,000 years old.
If you count it,
Yeah, if you add up all the genealogies.
the genealogies.
Yes.
What does that mean?
In Matthew it says so and so begat so and so who begat so and so who begat so and so who begat so and so, and then in Genesis it does that too. What's his name? Usher. I always forget his first name. Not the R&B artist, but a priest a long time ago. He added up all those genealogies, starting with there was a historical event in the Bible, the death of Nebuchadnezzar. I think maybe it is. And he goes backwards from there, and because it says how long, this would really only be for the Old Testament. Matthew isn't really part of this, because it says how long all these people lived. And Adam lived to be 900, and his children were these people, and they lived to be this old, but whatever. And it goes back to about 6,000 years ago.
All right, but that's assuming that we have everything to know about that just from the scriptures. Like, obviously, maybe not obviously, but you will not get all the information on it just from the Old Testament scriptures. Like, you can't. It wouldn't have every single important person. I wouldn't think, because of obviously the
Well,
Earth is bigger than that.
but it goes back to Adam, who, according to Christianity, was the first man, and he is created specifically in the first week of creation, which, according to their interpretation, is the creation of the entire universe. So it goes back to the beginning.
Yeah, go back to the beginning, but you don't know that there isn't things in between.
It doesn't matter what's in between. If we know where it begins and how long ago it began, then that's how we get our date there. This isn't controversial. According to the Hebrew calendar, that's what year we're in, the year like 6,000 whatever. I don't know precisely what it is, because they do the same thing. They account for, they say that the creation is the starting period, and so it's been that many years since then. Now Judaism doesn't. There are I don't know what percentage of people within Judaism are young Earth creationists. There's a huge amount of secular beliefs are very popular amongst Jewish people, but nonetheless, regardless, they have they've got the dates added up too. So this is not controversial or debated, really.
All right. So how is it? How does that contradict science?
We can see billions of light years, for one.
We can see billions of light years.
Right. So let me ask you a question. If the entire universe is only 7,000 years old, what is the range of distances we should be able to see out into the universe?
To see?
Yeah.
7,000 light years, I guess.
Right. But we can see billions of light years.
How do you know you can see billions?
So astronomers have lots of tricks and tools that they use to gauge distances. Standard candles are one of the best ones. I mean, I could give you a rudimentary example of what a standard candle is. I'm not an astronomer or anything. I've done my best to explain it with my limited background. But do you just doubt that astronomers know what they're doing?
You say that like we absolutely know it's fact. Like how? No, I don't. I doubt the astronomers saying that we can see 7 billion years. Yeah, I do.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, because because it disagrees with the Bible.
Yeah,
So
but that's not the only.
So if we
that's
discover
like saying,
something, you believe in the scientific method for countless things, but when the scientific method discovers something that contradicts the Bible, you say that the science is wrong. So
I'm just saying
that seems very odd.
And it seems hypocritical to put all your faith into this science, but then you don't put the same faith into the Christianity.
I see no sufficient reason or evidence to put any faith into the claims of Christianity. So, like, do you think that atoms don't exist?
What do you say?
Do you think that atoms exist?
Sure.
Okay. But you don't believe we can see billions of light years. So, why is one of those things just why can't you believe one of those things, but you can believe the other thing?
Because some are more easy to believe, but I can also turn around to you to put something on the Bible and say, why can you believe this, but you can't believe like something else? Like,
I don't believe in magic, which allows me to also disbelieve every other religion and mythology that you also disbelieve in. But I'm more consistent. I don't arbitrarily stop drawing that line in order to preserve a belief that is not predicated on evidence.
But like, what is that? What do you mean?
So you don't believe in any religion except your own, and like you sort of believe in what Jews believe in, is in terms of like the historical narrative of the Old Testament, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you believe that Muhammad split the moon in half, or that the moon split in half when Muhammad ascended into heaven?
Because we don't have the same observations and what's it called? Like people who saw it. We don't have the same amount of people who saw that compared to when people saw Jesus ascend into heaven and rise from the dead.
Okay, well that's geez, where do we go from that? Does the moon splitting in half sound like something that even could happen to you?
To me?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but it's
Okay,
possible,
I
not
agree.
probable. But like,
Well, almost anything's
you have
possible, I
to.
guess, especially if you allow magic to exist in your worldview. To me, the moon splitting in half is too stupid to believe. And even if 1,000 people said it happened, that's not sufficient enough evidence for me to believe that something that, by all rational naturalistic accounts, just can't happen, right? And I think you feel the same way that I do. Um, about all these things, but then you don't feel that way about your personal beliefs, which which make violations of the natural world and what is and what seems like common sense to you, the same way it seems like common sense to me.
All right, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that Jesus rose from the dead?
No, I don't
You
think
don't.
anybody has ever risen from the dead because rotting corpses don't reanimate, and I don't believe in magic.
Okay. So even though we have a lot, probably about hundreds of accounts in a time where
No,
you
you do
would.
not.
Okay.
You have Paul
You have a lot.
saying that somebody told him that 500 people saw it. If 500 people saw the the tombs of the saints open up and walking around, that would by far be the most miraculous thing that had ever happened, and it would not be told by only one guy one time in one letter.
How do we know it was only told by one person? Just because it's the only thing that's in the Bible does not mean that there's not other accounts of it.
But there aren't,
But like, how does that matter? Pe-
because
people people
because
did see him.
if
Paul's
somebody
not
was
the only
making up
person.
a story, if an event happened that hundreds of people saw and those hundreds of people would each tell anybody that they could, then in no time at all countless thousands of people know this story, and it would be the most miraculous thing that ever happened. Nobody would ever stop talking about it if it really happened, right? If a guy was making it up, then you would expect to only find this story in one place. That's the same kind of logic I use with the moon splitting in half. Literally everybody on the planet would have seen that happen. Nobody on the planet would have ever stopped telling that story. It would exist everywhere. Now, if it didn't happen and somebody was making it up, then I would only expect to find it in one place or in a tiny number of stories from one small place, because that was the group of people making up the story and telling it.
Okay, you're forgetting that in this time, the time that this happened, people would be killed for expressing their belief in Jesus and saying that he rose from the dead. You would
Uh,
literally be martyred. That's what a martyr is. That would
not in the
happen.
very
Yeah, of
earliest
course.
days. No,
People. Well, that's what would happen. So of course, people would be too afraid to say that happened, and that only he, like people told him only. Because if you went open about it and said, "I
why do
saw
we have
Jesus die," you
Christianity
would be
at
killed.
all? But this is an argument for the complete extinction of the Christian religion because it would have been snuffed out right away.
Because some people it didn't care about being killed, and they all actually told it. But if you went out and told everybody, "I saw Jesus die and rose from the dead," then you would be killed. So of course they would only tell that one person.
That just doesn't make any sense.
How does it not make sense?
Don't you think that non-Christians would have seen the tombs of the saints open up and 500 people walking around? It doesn't have anything to do with specifically Christianity. Yes, it's only in the Christian canon that story comes to us today, but it's not like, oh, if you say that, that means you're it's not a uniquely Christian thing. Not really.
It's not about just being Christian. Just if you say you saw that happen, you would be killed. That's what happened.
Why though? Because non-Christians would have seen it happen.
because it
It's
ties
not
into the
it's not
miracle of
it's not
Jesus.
blasphemous to say that that happened. It's not the same kind of claim as, did you know that Jesus actually is God? It's not the same kind of claim at all.
Because there's a difference between saying, if you say you saw that happen, that obviously means like you saw Jesus rise from the dead. You saw that.
No, it just doesn't. Look, people
How?
can agree or disagree on as to whether or not Christ resurrected because he only appeared to the women and the 12 and a few other people that were walking down that road and wherever that was, I can't remember. But these 500 souls that left the tombs, everybody, and there were almost zero Christians at that specific time, that would have been seen by everybody. So that is a claim that anybody could agree on, regardless of what you believe.
But
Jew,
they were directly tied
Gentile,
into each other.
Christian, which there weren't any Christians really at that time, whatever. It's not a claim unique. This is just a naked historical claim. You can claim that the resurrection is as well, but that's obviously intrinsic. Like it's very important to the Christian. Like the Christian religion doesn't exist unless that happened. Now the resurrection or the tombs opening up is tied to that, but it doesn't mean like Christianity being true or false doesn't rest on this one thing. And so again, like it's not blasphemous to say the tombs opened up if everybody saw that happening.
Because the tombs opening up was a direct result of Jesus.
Wait, why am I
Direct
saying
result.
500 people walked around? It was seen by 500 people that the tombs were opening up or whatever. I think I'm confusing myself. But yeah. 500 people saw it.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, we've been on that specific thing for a really long time. What do we even we're talking about science and religion not being able to coexist. So like you asked me, why do I say that science and religion can't coexist? And I said I don't really say that, but it sounds like you do think that because you've said that all of cosmology is just wrong because of the Bible. So it seems like you're actually the one that thinks that.
I'm not saying there's certain accounts of science that can, but when we have these two things that directly contradict each other, yeah, I'm going to choose the faith over the science.
Why?
Well, why do you think because that's my beliefs, but you believe in science, I believe in Christianity, so I could turn around and say, why do you believe in cosmology instead of Christianity?
I used to
And
be
you
a
see how that-
Christian and I never doubted cosmology. It was never a problem for me. It's not a problem for the Catholic Church. It's not a problem for huge numbers of Christians.
Yeah, I'm not saying all science. I'm saying there's certain accounts of it.
Well, I was talking about Christians, not the science, not exactly.
I'm saying there's certain accounts of science that contradict the Bible. Yeah.
So, what do you think is the best way to try to figure out a true fact about the natural world?
The best way?
Yeah.
What true fact? It depends. What do you mean? There's the best.
It doesn't matter. There's any question that you want to ask, what do you think is the best way to try to figure out the closest approximate answer for what the truth is with respect to it?
What do you mean the best way? That's vague.
I know, that's kind of the point. We have a question that we want to answer, like how old is the Earth? How old is the universe? How far away are the stars that we can see? What do you think would be the best way to figure that out?
It depends on the thing.
Just tell me.
It depends on what are you talking about? It depends. It depends on what it is.
Give me an answer.
It depends on what it is.
Okay, I'm going to say that science is the best way. Do you agree or disagree?
Like I said, it depends on what it is.
Okay, when is it that a specific type of question that we want to answer, when is it that science is not the way to figure out the most accurate answer?
When we already know something from the Bible.
Oh man. How do you know that what the Bible says is true?
How do you know what science says is true?
Because of its unprecedented ability to produce accurate and reliable results and repeatable results. But you dodged the question completely. How do you know what the Bible says is true?
Because we saw a man die on the cross.
No, you
and rise
didn't.
from the dead. I'm saying people. People saw that.
How do you know that they saw it?
Because we have historic evidence and accounts.
How do you know that this?
So are you just rejecting history? Like, how do you believe history?
I reject that it's history. I think it's mythology, just like you think every single religion on the planet is a mythology except for your own. So why are these stories historical to you?
Because we have literal accounts from people in a time where you would
Such
be
as
slain
who?
if you said that. What?
Such as who?
The what do you mean such as who?
Whose eyewitness account do we have?
I don't know. I don't know the specific people.
I can tell you.
Okay, tell me.
Nobody's.
Okay.
Not a single person in any story in the Bible do we have any of their accounts of anything.
Really?
Yes. Do you know what we do have? We have the actual handwritten affidavits of multiple people who claim they saw the angel Moroni. So is that historical and true?
It could be. I'm saying it to.
I'm asking you if you think that it is.
No.
Why not? Because you said if we have eyewitness accounts, then it's history and therefore it's a true account. So why don't you believe the affidavits of the people that saw the angel Moroni?
What?
Why don't you believe the affidavits of the people that saw the angel Moroni?
Because, like I said, it contradicts what I believe. Like I said,
Is it possible that you are wrong about anything that you believe about the Bible?
Is it possible? I don't think so.
Man, this is fascinating. Okay. So
like I said, you can reject it. We have the accounts of people who saw that happen.
Such as?
I don't know this. I just told you. I just told you.
There literally isn't a single... We don't have a single written account from anybody in any of the stories of the Bible at all.
So the people
not a single archaeological artifact that is tied to a single person that ever lived in the Bible exists.
So you're saying that the people who literally got martyred for talking about how Jesus rose, though, that just didn't happen, or like what?
That's not in the Bible, except for maybe one of the apostles. How many of the apostles, their death is actually in the Bible? I think it's only one of them. The rest are just traditional stories. And then if you're talking about like somebody like Justin Martyr, that was centuries after Jesus died. That's not in the Bible.
No, I'm talking about Jesus' disciples, the people who said they saw him after he died.
James, the son of Zebedee, is in the book of Acts, and that's it.
That's it.
The only apostle whose death is recorded in the Bible is James. That's it.
Just the Bible is truth, but it doesn't have every truth. It doesn't have everything that happened. Like I said before,
that's not my claim. So
because it's not in the Bible doesn't mean that it didn't happen. But
that's not my claim. The Bible can't contain all information. That's not possible for any book. What we're trying to figure out is, why do you think that the stories in it are even true? And your standard for evidence is just so incredibly weak. And it's a standard that you reject for all other religions. But you can't come up with any reason. So you just say, well, if it's not what I believe, then it's false, which is just such a bizarre way to exist.
Like I said, I believe it because Jesus confirmed it, and then he died and rose from the cross. I mean, he died on the cross and then he rose, and then people for 40 days people saw him. And you can deny that, but I'm just saying that's what I believe happened. You can believe what you think happened, but you can't just say, "Oh, that's not true," because science. Because then I can
And
say,
you
"Oh,
can't
that's not
say
true
that
because
science
religion."
isn't true
So
because
it's
Bible.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's hypocritical to say that and then just completely reject it because science, and I can say, "Oh, that's true because of the Bible." That's a we're going in
Why
circles here.
is
That's
your
bad
why is
wisdom
your method for deciding what is or isn't true about the natural world superior to science?
because of Jesus. Why is science superior to
Why
religion?
is Jesus superior? Why is your faith or whatever in Jesus superior to the methodological practice of science?
Why was what?
Why is your faith in Jesus a superior epistemology to the methodological practice of science?
Because he lived the perfect life. Because he
These are
did
just these are
miracles
just
that were
these are
because
just
he did
claims.
miracles that were.
Even if he lived a perfect life, why would that make your faith in Jesus?
I'm saying he
This
did.
is
He
so
lived a perfect life.
hard
He
to
did
do.
miracles. He died on the cross and he rose again. He did many miracles that are impossible in the eyes of science, and people
You have
still,
no evidence of
say he
that.
did it. What do you mean? How do you have evidence of history?
How do I have evidence of history?
Yeah, how do you believe history?
I there's plenty of history that I don't believe. I'm extremely skeptical of Herodotus, for example. His nickname is the father of lies. Okay, now, uh, and we kind of know that because many of the things that Herodotus says are contradicted by multiple other accounts, or his accounts are just they sound way too fantastical, and there's no supporting evidence for them, which is exactly like, stuff that the Gospels say. The exact
So
same
what
kind of
I'm saying,
logic you or I would use to say, yeah, Herodotus is probably full of shit with respect to this, that, or the other, is what I do when I look at the Gospels. But you don't do it when you look at the Gospels, because you begin with the belief that the Gospels are true, and then it doesn't matter what the Gospels say. You will believe the Gospels over anything else. It's just so odd.
what I'm saying is to reject this, but to believe something that is very similar is hypocritical for the same, like
What
you're saying,
what
the same
is
reasons.
what what is a similar thing that I reject, and what is it similar to?
I'm saying you reject the Bible, but then you accept like history books, even though they have the exact same reliance on these testimonies.
Absolutely not. I would not believe a historical account, especially of miracles, just because it's written down. Holy shit. Sorry, there's a
But
big
people saw
spider
it.
right in front of me.
Saw it happen. People saw it happen, and people wrote it
The
down.
book says that people
That's how
saw it
history.
happen.
That's how history happens. People saw it.
How come
People
you
wrote it down.
don't apply that equally? If your claim is it happened, people wrote it down, why don't you believe the other stories that people wrote down? For example, about the angel Moroni.
Because in this time, like I said, it was way more risky to
I'm not
say it
asking you
happened.
about what you believe. I'm asking you about, I'm not asking you any question about Christianity at all. I'm asking you, if you say that somebody wrote it down, therefore it's historical and they saw it, why do you not believe that those people saw the angel Moroni?
Because, like I said, in this time, you
I'm
study
not
these
asking you
books,
about Christianity.
so
I'm asking
it's
you
too
about
smart.
the other claim.
Because there was no merit, there was no risk to saying that. You can just say it.
So what? That's not what you said. You said if an eyewitness sees it and writes it down, then it's history. So why don't you believe the affidavits of these other people?
Why do you not?
Because angels and magic don't exist. There's no evidence that they do, and somebody writing it down isn't good enough evidence.
What would be good enough evidence?
Some sort of empirical evidence. So let's do this a different way. Let's pretend that you grew up your entire life never hearing about the Bible, and today you start reading the Bible. What is it about the Bible that convinces you that it's true?
Just one thing.
No, you can give me 7 things for all I care.
The perfect life of Jesus.
Okay.
The amount of cross references.
How do you come to the conclusion that Jesus led a perfect life?
How do you come to the conclusion?
Yeah.
Because, from the Bible it says it, and also from the many other people who saw Jesus' life, they know, people saw him and they said he lived a perfect life, and people knew that.
But that's what the book says. I'm asking you, how do you come to the conclusion that that's true? Also, check this out. I'm perfect and everyone knows. So does that make this true? It's written down.
No, because there's no cross references and you wrote it yourself right there.
No, literally everyone knows it. It says that everyone knows it. Therefore, everybody knows it because it says it.
I agree with it.
What's that?
The Bible has thousands of cross references. I agree with it.
Okay, I have just written down the previous page is true. So now it's been cross-referenced. How many times do I have to write that down in order for you to believe it?
You still wrote it you yourself. There's thousands of cross-references from other people. That's what a cross-reference is. It's from a different source.
And random people just wrote down the Bible's words.
Not the Bible's words. The Bible wasn't there. The canonical Gospels were not a thing yet.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Anyways, let's go back to what we were talking about. So, you have never read the Bible until today. You start reading the Bible. What about it gets you to believe that it's true? So far, you've just said Jesus lived a perfect life. No, that's just what it says. I'm asking you, what about the Bible gets you? Because we're trying to see if you're honest here, because you don't believe the other stories, even though it's just written down. Okay, well, your stories are just written down. So what other than the fact that the Bible says so is getting you to believe that these claims are true?
The cross references it has. Thousands of different accounts that before the Bible was even a thing, people saying that Jesus' life and writing it down, thousands of different people that agree with each other about what happened.
What thousands of different people?
The thousands of different cross references, the accounts.
Such as?
I can't name specific examples, but you can look it up.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Are you talking about supposedly fulfilled Old Testament prophecies?
No, I'm talking about how there's thousands of different accounts.
The Bible doesn't have thousands of authors.
I'm saying of different accounts that agree with the canonical Gospels.
So I'm asking you about the Bible itself. So you're saying that thousands of other people saying things is what convinces you that the Bible is true? Are you aware that there are like 1 billion Muslims? Is that enough Muslims to convince you that the Quran is true?
I'm saying at this time before...
No, the question is, there are 1 billion Muslims. Is that enough Muslims to convince you that the Quran is true?
No, that's not my point.
Yes, it is your point. It's exactly your point. You said thousands was enough for you to believe the Bible. There are billions of Muslims. Is that enough?
I'm not talking about followers. I'm talking about the people who were there and saw it.
Okay, what thousands of people are you talking about?
I don't have the exact people.
I don't need to know any of their names. I just need to know, what are you talking about?
I'm sorry, I have to go. Uh, great conversation.